Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's good to have you all here. Obviously, just coming out of a leaders meeting, want to thank the legislative leaders. They're right back here. They're working hard. Basically, this was to kind of set a calendar from now until the 15th of May or so in that area, start back planning on when the revisers would need the bills, when the chairs would be meeting, when we would have the capacity to meet, and how that would look, going over some of the target numbers and the side-by-side comparisons between our proposals, the House and the Senate. It's very productive. I think we're getting some agreement on that. Both Speaker and the Senate Majority Leader were going back to take that to their caucus. And then we touched on the looming deadline on the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund and the long overdue frontline worker pay. There was at least a verbal agreement that there's time to get this done, that we'd all like to get it done. The last official offer was made by the House and Speaker Hortman on March 28th, so it has been a while, and we've been setting on that, but it appears like there's a agreement to make a best effort to try and reach a compromise on this before the end of the month. We certainly made the case that businesses have been preparing and many have been paying ahead of time, but it is true, the official deadline will come on the 30th. So feeling hopeful. I think in the spirit of last night's State of the State, trying to come together, all of us finding places we can compromise, and it was more of a 40,000-foot discussion of that rather than the details, but the calendar is getting pretty well laid out, the rhythm of the meetings, and both in the chairs and moving the final bills, and then thinking about conference committee, and then the things that come for final decisions before the end of May. Talking about, there's a couple dates in there, obviously Mother's Day and fishing opener. We're blocking off a little bit of time, but other than that, it was pretty clear, all leaders available 24/7 between now and the end, and a clear understanding and an agreement. There will not be a special session. That is the drop dead time, and we're working from that. So I think off to a good start for a new week.
Are hero checks and the UI still linked, or did you talk about separating them?
Well, in our mind, they're still linked together, and I think, again, there's not another, the House is the ones who've moved. They moved about $700 million. The proposal that we have put forward is 2.7 for the UI Trust Fund and $1 billion for the frontline workers. Waiting, I think, on a Senate counter, but at this point in time, we are still assuming that those two things are linked together. They make sense, and we, I think, agreed in there that we would still like to try and do that as an immediate issue, kind of as I said last night, and then we can move on to the more pressing issues and then talk long term.
I'm a little let down after your speech last night. I thought you were going to do more than look at calendars today. I thought you were actually...
You thought we were going to solve all the problems and get our budget on...
Well, at least on UI.
Yeah, well, here's what I think. Again, the discussion was restarted. Again, think about this. This has been stalled since March 28th. It has been frozen since that time. That was the first early push, if you will. That passed. I think this meeting, there was at least a verbal commitment that, no, we'll try and tackle these before the end of the month. And I point blank asked, is there time to do this? And they agreed that if they could come to a decision, they could get me a bill tonight if they really chose, if that can happen, but there's some work to be done. So I actually do think in legislative time frame on this is pretty rapid fire. It's not guaranteed, but the negotiations appear to be restarted on that. So I do think that's in the spirit, and I want to thank the legislature for doing that. I think, again, Speaker Hortman has been trying to move a lot on this issue, and I think her leadership on this is kind of keeping this thing moving along.
Last week you said you would propose sort of a path forward on both of those issues. Did you do that today? Is there any middle ground?
Yeah, I think we restarted it, and I'm not sure, and again, these things always happen, and I think deal making, and I think purists, we would all like to see individual issues move individually, but to build a coalition, you need some other things. And I simply asked it just as an open-ended question, and there wasn't really any response, what is it going to take to shake this loose, other than maybe some of the movements of numbers? And I truly don't know what that would look like. Our proposal on this is can we come back, can we get a hard agreement on where we think these numbers should be and start moving from there? So I think getting the calendar down and an agreement that this is going to end on this date, we're going to have our work done by this date. The chairs are going to have to work, or any conference committee work needs to be done by this date. And we back it up to now, we actually started talking, we'll need to have this by May 3rd, May 2nd, there was some word with that. I think in this meeting here, it was agreed upon, you know what, that's getting too tight. And so we said, we probably need to start thinking Thursday of this week. And we talked about these can't be 30 minutes or 45-minute sessions. This is the bring the pizza and pop, and we're going to be in here a while. That rhythm is going to start. So I think that's something new. We haven't really done it that detailed. And it felt to me like I'm hopeful around these two issues because it sounded like everybody still believes we can get this done by the 30th.
How far are you that this has to be 2.7 plus versus, as the speaker's been saying, just getting the federal debt, giving a little bit of cushion, and then adjusting the rates via budget?
Yeah, there's some cushion there. I mean, I still think that's the way to approach it, but I'm asking my team, what does this look like? What would that rate increase look like? What would it hit if we're not able to get to that full number? I still think that's the appropriate way, and I think the $1 billion makes sense, but I'm open to that because, again, those who have said you don't have to do it all to reduce the burden on this, they're not necessarily wrong. My concern is, one, is there an increase at all on any of these businesses? And two, are we paying any tax or penalty on this, especially from the borrowing? I think we think the 1.2 number is what removes us from that federal loan and then start moving from there. So again, I think in the fairness of being compromising on this, I'm open to that. I still firmly believe, and this is not taking the politics out of it, I just think fiscally responsibly and ideologically that should be paid off. But I'm open if there's some movement there. If it kind of meets those first two requirements, it protects small business from that increase and it makes sure that we're not paying a penalty. Yep.
Question on top of Peter's. I mean, you said last night twice, I think you used the phrase like getting close, like we're getting close on things, but it sounds like you're not considerably closer than last week. I mean, there's no new deals.
It's a bit subjective. We are not in open warfare with one another, and we've agreed that we come back here and there's civil conversations and kind of resetting relationships. I think these things move in fits and starts. I'd like them to be more linear from one to the other. Lieutenant Governor as a legislature, myself knowing that it's not necessarily that way, it feels to me like there's a different momentum and now it's the seriousness. And I know the legislators always tell me this. I get all excited in January. I roll out my stuff. I've been traveling for months with a bonding bill, Lieutenant Governor and I, and we hit the deck when they sign in the first week in February and things are going to get done. And they all say, just cool it until the 1st of May. That's when the real stuff starts. We're there now. We're on that doorstep. So I think that's where there's a sense of urgency. So I do think we're closer.
The only agreement we've got firm, though, is that April 30th is the deadline. On you.
I think there is agreement on that, the April 30th. But small businesses know they've already been. And this was, I guess it may have been a semantic disagreement, but my whole point on this is that we have the resources to do this. These, just like I said last night, these small businesses did what they were asked. I think it would be our best interest to not increase their tax, what they need to pay. With that being said, that is an agreement, and it was noted that there still is time to get that done before the 30th, and both sides walked away tonight and said, we're working on it. No.
Thursday date referencing, what do you guys need to have?
That's when we were going to come back together to start going through the spreadsheets, the side-by-side spreadsheets of the whole budget that was been proposed and the targets, separate from this. So I think this thing, there's no, I would hope, and we did not set it in there I think it's in the Senate's hands now because the Speaker made the last offer, waiting if the Senate will come back with an offer. And I think we're in the rhythm now and prepared for this. If that comes back tonight, we'll continue working tonight. If it comes back tomorrow, we'll continue tomorrow. So that is, I still think, and this is the way it is, it appears like we're still working the frontline worker and the UI as a separate issue to be done by the end of the week and starting to prepare for those longer budget issues. And that's a good rhythm, and that's kind of that was pretty much the gist of this meeting. But it was good, it was agreement, it was agreeing that we are not going to get all where we each want, but there are some real wins in here. So I think it's a good start, and I'm sure be back out here a lot of times, and probably not so optimistic on some of those days, but these things have a tendency to work themselves out. And the good thing is as we said, the economy is strong, we're continuing to create jobs, we're in a good spot on COVID, and we have a surplus. So we're hopeful we'll get it done. So thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.